So welcome everybody. This is a short podcast. Dick had the idea to get this together, so I'll introduce these guys in a moment. The plan is to cover some aspects of combat in games and combat for real, and how stress affects us. So we've got Dolly, who's an Arma gamer along with me, and also a combat veteran. I'm not a combat veteran, but I'm an Arma gamer and make the SOG Prairie Fire DLC. And then we also have Dick, who's Lieutenant Colonel Dick Thompson with us, former MACV SOG. And you went on to SOCOM and looked at stress and all things stress, as far as I remember, Dick.
Yeah, so eventually I was with the Rangers after SOG. And then also went to Korea with a provisional ranger company, then came back to Fort Bragg and did the emergency readiness evaluations for special forces and ranger units.
And then after that, you were with SOCOM, is that right?
Well, went to Fort Leavenworth, Commander General Staff College, and then they kept me there working as an instructor, leadership instructor, but also working on Airland Battle 2000, how we were going to fight war in the 21st century, with my focus being on continuous combat operations. How do you go for 100 hours straight and still be functional? How do you build high-performing battle staffs, high-performance leadership? So I did a lot of research and a lot of going around to different units, to include the UK. I met with the British Army staff and gave them some briefings and information around how we saw special ops taking place in the 21st century. So
that's just an amazing career.
Neat things.
Yeah, an amazing career there, and it makes you sort of, in a way, almost uniquely qualified to talk to us today about combat and combat stress, in a sense, from because you've been very specialized in that in your career. So I guess we'll start off with a little. I guess we've been having a bit of fun. We were playing SOG Prairie Fire the other week with Ken, who was leading our team. And he's a former 1-0 from MACV SOG and a very experienced military leader. So I was his second in command, and you were watching this in our stream. Dolly's played these missions with us before, and he's pretty familiar with them. And we were on a recon mission, having to be very quiet in the enemy backyard. And of course, all this is not real, in a sense, because we're off in a simulation, in a video game. And during that mission, I really noticed how much I was getting kind of excited, and my levels were all going up. And at various points, I was repeating things over and over, or I was struggling to find words because there was so much, battle noise going on, chatter from the team, and I was trying to get certain people to move or do something and finding it hard to get them to take in what I was saying. So I was kind of losing my marbles a little bit. And in contrast, Ken, who's a very, very experienced combat leader, just absolutely flat calm, giving very short commands, and everyone just getting on with it. And there's me kind of flapping like a civilian, right?
Roger. Okay.
Good eyes.
Any hostile across by the pole? We have any sightings right now?
So is it just the training? Is it personality? What is it that sort of defines this, this sort of behavior?
Yeah, what my experience has been that some of it's personality. We have our stress personalities that come out as the stress levels start to increase. Everyone has some things in common. Our voices tend to get a little higher pitched. Most people tend to talk a little faster as the stress level goes up. It's hard to remember things. When when I was in, a Prairie Fire emergency with SOG, and I've got, 4 F4s that are coming in to support me, and I've got, 2 or 4 A1E Sky Raiders that are dropping napalm and things around me, and I've got Cobra gunships, out, continuously making gun runs, and I'm telling everybody, I want you this distance, this direction, and I'm popping smoke, and they're identifying, and I'm saying, nope, that's not me. It's the bad guys. Hammer the purple smoke, and starting all over again. And I'm trying to remember call signs because the aircraft are changing out and going back to rearm, refuel. I'm talking to Covey. I'm talking to my guys and trying to get them up. And your short-term memory just goes. I used to write call signs all over my hands, all over the thigh, my pants, because they kept changing out, to make sure I was talking, to the right people. So that's not unusual. Plus having to talk loud once the battle starts, because of all the battle noise around you. And CAR-15s are very loud. They have the short barrel on them. And even though they have that little suppressor piece on the end, they're still very loud. So it's hard to talk over all of that. So, yeah.
I guess you all got selected. So you've gone through jump school, and you've gone through, you've gone through some kind of leadership qualification to be in that position, either as an NCO or as an officer. And what do you think in the training there, I mean, there's obviously selection, but was it the particular things in the training that brought out your capability to stay calm and to survive that kind of fight?
Well, again, I think some of it's the person, and it's hard to tell. It just by talking to someone, meeting someone, it's hard to tell what they're going to do when the bullets really start flying. I mean, there are some people that you think would just hit the ground and bury their face and never look up, and they stand up, take charge, and just do all kinds of things. It's really surprise you what they do. So, the different personalities come out under that stress. And a lot of the training that you go through before you get assigned to a unit like that, and after you get into a unit that way, is to train you to be able to function better under the stress, to try to put you in simulated situations that's going to run your stress level up, so that you kind of get used to what it feels like, used to having to manage, multiple call signs and frequencies and battle and maneuvering people, plus getting shot at. I found, when the bullets started hitting all around me, I got a little nervous. So I thought, wow, those jokers might hit me. So it would cause me to shoot back a lot more.
I'm sure. Can we bring Ben in on this? How do you find the contrast between playing Arma and combat for real?
This is it. It's a lot of things that Dick was saying just then really struck home with me. So something I used to do is I got a pair of pilot's coveralls, cut off the leg map pocket, which has a plexi sort of covering, and I had that sewn to my trousers so I could have a map in there to see where I was, and I could write on it and then just wipe off. So I would, as opposed to writing all over my arms and stuff, I literally had it just written on my leg, where when I get back, I should spray it with deodorant and wipe it off. Because it was that thing of, if you've got a different call sign that you haven't operated with before, because quite often you'd be like, I've never heard this call sign before, I don't know what it is. So they come over and, you write it down and you try and remember it just in case you get to use them again. But for me, there's this weird disconnect from Arma and real life, because you are very aware that it's not realistic. So you can do stuff that you wouldn't do in real life within the game. But it's a close enough link that you do sometimes feel yourself, if you're operating in a hot environment, you'll start feel
All right.
yourself warming up.
At least we're still alive.
And for me, it's almost giving a physical flashback of situations, especially if I'm operating in the desert, where predominantly I operated. I will start getting the sweat, and it's little things like I will start feeling the sand under my armpits, which is the most uncomfortable feeling in the world, but you'll start feeling that rubbing. But you still got that disconnect. So although it's all going to hell in a handbasket, you know it's not real. So it's that nice controlled level of integration. And, you know, I massively miss the adrenaline rush of, you know, a prolonged firefight, or, you know, those situations where you're at a heightened level of hypervigilance for extended periods of time because you don't know what's coming about. I miss those elements, and I find that the gaming is a nice mix because you've got those elements where you're having to pay attention to what's going on around you, but you're not going to get shot. And if you do, you just respawn. So it's a very safe way to have that integration between the combat, which quite a lot of us enjoyed the adrenaline rush and we quite miss it since we've left it. And you also get the camaraderie and things like that. And you build friendships, and you know how teammates work. And that is all very linked with the military of, you know, you spend your time operating with a team, and Dick can testify to this as well as I can, if not better. You get to know your team. You know how the person in front of you walks. And if the person has noticed something that they're not too sure about, it will change the way they walk slightly in their stance, or their head or body will start moving slightly more than usual, just because there's some atmospheric that has tweaked them. But you get those sort of connections with people and the way they operate. I may have gone off on a bit of a tangent, but that's the sort of
no, that's great. Yeah, so I mean, thinking of fighting the team and, you know, going out with a team to do recon in the game, it's absolutely fantastic when you even doing it with new guys like we did last Sunday that we hadn't fought with before, and there's this sense of, at the end, you know, just this bonding that you get from it, because you've gone out and you've faced a trial together and come back alive. And I'm doing it as 2IC or 1-1, and in that situation, I want to make sure I fight the team. And we don't lose, because I don't want to lose the team. So there's quite a lot of stress that I need to keep us together and not lose the battle, you know, and make sure the 1-0 gets his plan, you know, met. He's got an objective, we've got to achieve it. You know, there's that kind of dual pressure going on. So you do feel some pressure. I think it might be more fun to just play as a machine gunner, and you know, but I think every guy in the team is also fighting for the team. You know, they don't want to lose the team, so the guy with the machine gun is going to look after his rounds and fire in bursts and watch his arcs, and he's going to, you know, come when called if he needs to go to the front or back of the team, and so on. And so everyone's kind of thinking like a wolf pack, and they want to help out. Nobody there's an individual. No one's there just playing as a lone guy. It's very, very teamwork based. So I think that naturally puts more pressure on people, because you're not just trying to win on your own. You're trying to support a team, which takes more intelligence. It's not just brute aggression. It's more about where you fit in the shape and everything else. So there's a lot going on in there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's been a lot of studies, psychological studies, for a long time about what happens to people when they experience a stressful event together. Some of the original studies looked at lovers' leaps, and I don't know how familiar you are with that term, but a cliff, or, you know, where the lovers have committed suicide, jumped off, whatever. But you take your girlfriend to a lover's leap, and you get up close to the edge and kind of look off, and it's a long way down to the bottom, it runs your stress level up, arousal level up, but it also puts other hormones in your system that starts a bonding effect, makes the bond between you and your girlfriend stronger than it was. The same thing happens with team games, with video games, with combat. When you get in those stressful situations, you do start bonding, and you start coming together. And with gamer teams that play on a regular basis together, they start really bonding together a lot. Combat teams that go out, like Dolly was talking about a little while ago, you bond, you get to know each other really well, and you can tell by the movements what's going on. So in both the video game as well as combat, you start to get that bonding to take place. And just as an example, in the game that I observed with you a couple of weeks ago, I mean, it was a long game, a long battle toward the end, brutal battle toward the end. And you guys were trying to break free so you could get extracted, and you had left a member behind that had been wounded and couldn't get back to him without sacrificing, the team, maybe the whole team. So what was that like? I'm curious that you were in the game. What was that like to have to leave him behind? And you guys were talking to him, and he was saying, I'm bleeding out. I'm almost going. You can't get here in time. Don't waste anybody trying to get me. You got to leave me.
Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna make it.
Nope, you're gonna make it, buddy.
I told you I'm not.
Fuck you, VC. Fuck you.
Yeah, that was to my eternal shame, to be honest. And I felt it afterwards. But to pick up straight in the moment, when I heard that he'd been left behind, I kind of blanked. I didn't take responsibility in my head that it was me that I was responsible for the head count. I didn't catch that in my mind at the time. I just kind of blanked, like, oh, ICE is left behind, and he's saying we can't reach him, and I know what we'd be going back to. There's no way that the 1-0 is going to send us back. He's gone, and that's on me. When I watched the playback, I heard ICE on the radio say, I've moved out and I'm at the northern perimeter. He'd actually made it out on the northern side, and we had to break south because we couldn't get through. And he'd actually gone through the enemy line, got to the other side of it, and was waiting for us. So he was doing what we should have been doing. And then we had this suggestion to break south because we were getting we were not able to go north. And I didn't register in the frantic combat that was going on that one of our guys had just reported in that he had gone north. So that was completely on me as the 1-1, that I should have picked that up off the radio. Too much was going on. I didn't get it. I missed it, and we lost a guy, and it was on me. So after the mission, I was feeling pretty bad, pretty beat up about it, because we should not have done that. That shouldn't have happened. If I'd registered that he was through on the north side, I'd have turned us round and got us to fight north and not break south, to get back to him. Or we would have broken out and then circled to pick him up again. But during the time when we were just on the extraction, we were still fighting, and he was left behind. And what happened was a couple of guys dropped off the tail. And I don't recall them telling me, but they went back for him, and they almost made it to him, and then he bled out. So
chasing me here.
Once I knew they were going back, I was keeping one ear on them, and then I held the team. I told the 1-0, we held the team to rally again, and then when they came back empty-handed, I felt pretty bleak about it. Yeah. So I did feel emotions, definitely emotions. But the initial thing was I went just blank. That was my responsibility, and I didn't get it.
Well, there's so much. There was so much going on, so much traffic, so many. they were coming at you from every direction. The aircraft were trying to, find you guys and come in. You were trying to find a landing zone. All these different things were going on. And, that's what happens, in real combat. There's so much stuff happening all at the same time. You're not going to remember everything. You're not going to make necessarily the best decision every time. But a lot of times people get in a situation like you were in, and all of a sudden we have to go back and get him, and they'll lose half of the team or more trying to get someone. And that was a real tough decision that SOG 10s had to make, because on a regular basis, one or more team members, Americans in a lot of cases, were getting hit, and you were pretty sure they were dead. And you had to make a decision, and you have to make it in a fraction of a second. Do we go back? What do we do? And, a lot of guys got left behind. And I think in almost every case they were dead. But the 10's got to make a decision. You can't sacrifice the whole team, to get somebody's body. I told my guys, reminded them every mission, if I've been hit and you think I'm dead, do not sacrifice anybody trying to come to me. You guys leave. If I'm not dead, I'll find a way, but you guys don't come back. It's just not worth losing one of you for a body.
I guess you're living by the same rule set, all of you, and that's sort of a bonding thing, that you don't mess it up and risk everybody for one guy.
But you can see, and you experienced it in the game, you were experiencing the same kinds of emotion of leaving somebody back, and other team members were too. It wasn't just you. They were all talking about it. And at the same time, I want to switch situations just a little. What was it like when you guys got on the extraction aircraft and you were lifting off, and you were pretty sure you were going to make it? With the exception of the one you left behind, you were pretty sure that you were going to make it. What was the atmosphere like on the aircraft?
Yeah, I think we were all relieved. There was a lot of, in the tone of voice from everyone, you could hear relief visible, like we just, run a country mile, and it was over. We had endured something, and it was over. And there was a lot of relief, a lot of light jokes, a lot of fooling around. People's voices were a little bit hysterical, a little bit, like you say, higher octave, and and I was just I wasn't feeling remorse at that point for leaving ICE, because I think he'd respawned with us by then. So in a sense, he's back with us. So you don't get the same feelings, I'm sure. So there wasn't that overwhelming regret you might feel if you'd left a team member, because he's back with us, because it's fake. But yeah, I think we'd done the mission, and we'd won through. We'd been in a very almost catastrophic situation there. Team was very almost wiped out, and we still managed to, through the beauty of respawn, we'd managed to keep fighting. Now you can be overwhelmed to a point where there's no comeback at all, and we'd managed not to get to that point. So I think everybody felt a sense of, people said that was the best mission I've ever been on. So there was that real sense of wow, of what an amazing feat as a team that we've just done. So a very high kind of crowd on that aircraft.
Yeah, and that happens, and I'm sure Dolly has experienced it before. You go through something really tough one like that, and you finally get out, and you're so excited, but it pulls the team together closer, because you've been through, that catastrophic situation, and you survived as a team, and it just bonds you. And then we'll get into it on another session, but one of the things that happens is you keep bonding like that every time, and then you don't want to leave the team. You get wounded or something, you need to get medevaced, you don't want to go, and you feel guilty about leaving the team and trying to get back to the team. And it becomes addicting, and you're ready to go back again. And I was talking to Ryan Hendrickson yesterday. He wrote the book, The Tip of the Spear. Should have lost his leg, but somehow they managed to get it working again. And he went right back to Afghanistan like 4 more times. He was not going to not be part of the team and not be over there doing his thing. And so, I mean, you just get addicted to it. You got to have it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So in 2005, I was in Iraq. 2006, I volunteered to go to Afghanistan. 2007, I volunteered to go to Afghanistan. 2008, I volunteered to go to Afghanistan. So yeah, I get that completely. Sort of 6 months in between each rotation, doing between 5.5 months and 8.5 months were my tours. So
yeah.
So
you get addicted to, you get addicted to the game the same way. You're not going to die necessarily, but you get addicted to it. You get all that dopamine in your system from completing a mission, and you just come closer together. You want to go do it again, and teams start to form. You get a group of people who like to play with each other on a regular basis, because now you know each other and you have roles that you play, you know how to do it, and you like each other. But I also think that it provides an opportunity, if we were playing together on a regular basis, weekly basis, whatever, if something happens that I'm starting to struggle with a little bit, might not have anything to do with the game. I've just gone back through a dark place in between games or something, or maybe something was triggered by the game that I started thinking about. But when I come back to the game the next time, you guys, like Dolly was mentioning earlier, you see it. There's something different when I come back. But now I have you guys. I can have you, or at least some of you, as a support team, people who understand what's going on, people I can talk to. And then, what we're trying to do with the military veterans gamer group is also have an opportunity for them to take an assessment that we're putting out there, that they can look at it, 7 best practices for building your own stress resilience. They can go take that, get feedback, get techniques to use and do. If they decide they want to talk to someone, they can take it as a team. Doesn't cost the military vets anything to go do that. And it's all coming about as part of this game, part of their organization. So, something that they should do, because we use it all over for years with vets. And, both of you have taken it. And one of the things that you notice was it doesn't ask you every 10th question is not, have you tried to harm yourself this week? It's more about what's your exercise regimen that you're on, what's your nutrition like, what's your support group like, find out where you are right now, a snapshot, and then say, well, here's some things you might want to do. And in some cases, it might say, if you're not talking to a therapist, you might want to find one and talk to them. Or, and with MVG, they have their own little mental health group that you can contact and get some resources from them. So,
yeah, you hit on a very good point about the Arsenal program. A lot of us who have done these sort of military post-traumatic stress sort of mental welfare checks. It is literally on every single page is a question about do you self-harm? Have you thought about self-harm? Are you thinking about self-harm? And it's like, I wasn't, but now I am.
Yeah.
Cheers, thank you. And that was the really nice thing about it, that there wasn't any of that within the arsenal. There were no hard reaching questions, but it gave you answers of ways to improve your lifestyle, be that your diet, or for me it was I was doing punishment fitness. I wasn't warming up, I was just going out running till the pain got too unbearable, and then I was stopping. And that's why my fitness was terrible. That whole thing of just going out and beasting yourself, it's really counterintuitive, and it really highlighted to me that I needed to chill my bones a little bit and relax. And that was one of the nice elements. Also, the fact that I also need to eat, that's another good one that it pointed out. So
yeah, if you last longer if you get some food. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you've put a bit of weight on, Dolly.
No, I've just grown a beard. It's
I see.
Yeah, I have put a bit of weight on actually, but
you look good though. You look healthy for it. I took up kung fu as a result of taking Arsenal, and it's not the benefit I got from it. It's not what you might expect. It's not the physical side. It's actually the awareness and the meditation and the training with a very experienced kung fu master, which has given me space in my mind in my very busy daily job to not get as stressy. And I'm sure my team's noticed that I've calmed down a hell of a lot. I don't freak out in a crisis as much as I was. So thank you to Dick for letting me do the questionnaire and showing me the way.
And your awareness has also picked up as well, Rob, because that was something that you weren't as aware as you thought you were from the results from your quiz. But it was a few weeks ago you were saying to me I was feeling really, really low, and I noticed it was having an impact on me. So now I've calmed myself down. Even it was caused by me being unwell, but I was taking out on other things.
Yeah.
And you notice that, and it's these understated things that you wouldn't have been aware of if you hadn't have seen the Arsenal and worked out ways to work. And also you started resting now as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Reading books and stuff.
All the letters in the word Arsenal have a meaning, and each one is like a leg on a stool. You need all of them to keep you up, and being able to give each one a name and see how they correlate. It's fantastic awareness raising and really, really powerful tool to use.
Yeah, and I just wanted to also say, and I think everybody knows this, but sometimes I'm talking to people and they have the idea that, well, I wasn't in the military, I wasn't in combat, so there's no way I could have PTSD or PTS, or I could be really stressed. It doesn't matter. Life has some stressful events in it for everyone, and anyone can experience high levels of stress, chronic stress. So it's not just for military. And the questionnaire, the Arsenal gets it for everyone. And so there are things we can do. In fact, there are some therapies now that are starting to include video games as part of the therapy. They're very special, selected for the particular individual and that person's needs to help them deal with different aspects of what's causing the stress. But it's interesting that it's actually becoming therapeutic for some people. So I think what you've done is great. I mean, you created a super game out there. That's the most realistic thing, you know, particularly toward SOG that exists. I mean, the only way you can get more realistic is go do one. So
you're not going to trick us into volunteering for SOG, Dick.
Well,
I don't want to see what's behind that curtain.
Another business venture's coming up here. The
Yeah.
SOG experience.
Oh.
The SOG airsoft experience.
So
run
when
by
you-
Savage Games.
I don't want to give away too much, but when I do have a book that is going to get, you know, published relatively soon. But there is a section in the book that talks about a little group that Lynn Black and I formed. We called it his code name was Blackjack, mine was Dynamite. So it's called the Black Dynamite Hunting Expeditions. So that if someone wanted to take that ultimate adventure, they could contact us, and, you know, we had an area that we would go to that had some bad guys in it that, you know, we could let them experience being downrange. So anyway, I think you'll find it interesting when you read that in the book.
And was that with friendly OP4, or was that the?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, these are live shoot back targets.
A two-way range. Lovely.
Oh,
I mean, that's the best target practice you can have, is when you have a target that shoots back at you. Because, and now when you go across the fence, you're not prepared for the massive numbers that you're going to go against, but at least you've been shot at some.
right.
Anyway,
That's
little
great.
side trip there.
Well, thank you, Dick, for the you know, for coming with us today and on this exploration into stress and combat and video games. It's been really enlightening and fun for us, and we look forward to doing some more with you.
All right. Well, we get a little more specific on future, you know, podcasts based on what we see people talking about and their interest and their needs, and we can kind of focus in on some specific areas of stress that people might be dealing with. So that's great.
Okay, and we'll put contact details for MVG in the description.
Yeah. I was going to say, because this will be released on YouTube
Very shortly.
very shortly, because obviously we can see the comments from that, and that can help steer the conversation as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, thanks, guys, and see you next time.
Okay. All right. You guys have a good day. Thank you.